God says, unexpected money. Today you will receive a gift after praying to Jesus. Prayer for money. Dear listener, I speak now not with mere words, but with the urgency of a message divinely assigned, a message that carries the weight of a breakthrough, a moment that can rewrite your life. If you're between the ages of 30 and 65 and have been praying, hoping, or quietly breaking inside while waiting for a sign from God, then you need to understand that what you're hearing right now is not by chance. God is speaking directly to you through this message, and He is about to unlock a financial miracle that will not only bless you, but change your entire atmosphere. Stay close to this word, because what's about to unfold will seem unexplainable to the natural mind, but in the spirit, it is already in motion. You have cried tears behind closed doors, questioned your worth, wondered if your prayers were bouncing off the ceiling, but I assure you, the heavens have heard you. This message is for those who have suffered in silence, those who have been barely holding on, and those who have doubted whether a miracle was still possible for them. Today, I declare boldly, your miracle has arrived. God says you will be rich today, spiritually, emotionally, and yes, financially. But you must not reject it. Open your heart now, and when you hear a truth that pierces through to you, I ask you to speak these words aloud. I receive, because those words are keys that open the doors for divine grace to flood your life with abundance. When you say, I receive, you're not just agreeing with a message, you're aligning yourself with heaven. Let me take you deeper, because this is more than hype or temporary inspiration. This is the truth of divine timing. God doesn't operate by the clock of men. He moves in seasons, and your season has come. You're no longer in the wilderness. The drought is over. Psalm 20 verse 1 says, May the Lord answer you in the day of trouble. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you. That is not a poetic statement. It is a promise. God is not a distant observer. He is a responder. He sees when you're on the verge of giving up. He feels your silent heartbreak when bills stack higher than your hope. He knows what you've endured and how long you've held on. But now He is acting, and you must be present to receive it. I urge you, do not turn away. There's a financial door opening that doesn't come from man's manipulation or strategy. It comes from God's divine arrangement. This is the time to raise your expectation. Speak it. I receive. Because when faith and expectation collide, miracles are born. Now, I want to share with you a testimony that proves God is still working miracles. Jorge, a humble man, found himself shattered. No job, a sick wife, bills choking the air out of his home. He prayed, but felt abandoned. Maybe you felt that too. Maybe you've even said the words, God, where are you? But something shifted when Jorge stopped trying to impress God and simply cried out from his soul, God, if you are real, do something, because I can't take it anymore. That prayer, though raw and simple, reached heaven. The next day, a friend he hadn't heard from in years reached out with financial help. Then, a job offer came without him even applying. His wife began recovering. That is not coincidence. That is divine orchestration. The same God who moved for Jorge is ready to move for you, but you must respond. Say it again. I receive. Because the same atmosphere that brought his miracle is present for yours. God doesn't need 10 years to bless you. He can do it in 10 minutes. Do you believe that? Then act like it. You see, the problem is not whether God is willing, it's whether we are prepared to receive. Many of us have gotten so used to struggle that we resist blessings when they come. But God is not sending this message for entertainment. He is sending it for transformation. And He wants you to break free from the mindset of lack, of doubt, of not enough. He wants you to prepare for a new reality where wealth is not only possible, but promised. As it is written in Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 18, "But you shall remember the Lord your God, for it is He who gives you power to get wealth." You are not powerless. The power to create wealth, to walk in abundance, is being activated right now as you receive this word. You must think differently, believe differently, and live differently. Speak faith even when your bank account whispers fear. Pray bold prayers even when everything around you feels like it's falling apart. God is faithful, and He's about to prove it in your life in a way that even your enemies will have to admit it was divine. Now pause. Breathe. Let this truth settle in your spirit. What you've been praying for is already on its way. The transfer is in process. Angels are being dispatched. Divine connections are aligning. The atmosphere is shifting in your favor. But you cannot afford to be passive. Faith without action is dead. If you want to see wealth appear, you must speak life, sow gratitude, and walk with expectation. Stop looking at your circumstances and start speaking to them. Tell your debt it must bow. Tell your fear it has no home in you. Tell your past it no longer defines your future. You have authority. And when you walk in that authority, mountains move. This is not a message of hype. This is a prophetic call to rise. Your miracle has arrived. God is not promising something far away. He is saying today, right now. Don't reject it. Don't reason it away. Don't allow fear or logic to talk you out of what God has prepared. This is your moment. Seize it, declare it, own it, and walk in it. Because when heaven speaks, it never returns void. And today, heaven is speaking to you. Now speak back. Say it out loud. I receive. Then walk forward like it's already done. Because in faith, it already is. Let me speak directly to your heart today. Because this message is not just about Jorge, it's about you. You see, the same God who transformed Jorge's life, the same God who opened doors for him when everything looked hopeless, is the same God watching over you right now. Why do you believe that your situation is too complicated for Him? What makes you think He's run out of miracles? I'm here to tell you that He hasn't. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. The same power that changed Jorge's path is available to you today, right now. God does not forget you. He does not turn His face away from those who seek Him. He never sleeps, never slumbers, and never abandons His people. But here's the truth most of us overlook. We're the ones who wander. We get consumed by the chaos of life, by worry, stress, and fear, and slowly we drift. We forget that the Creator of the universe is still seated on the throne, fully in control and fully present. We start listening to the noise of the world instead of the whisper of His Spirit. So let me take you back to a moment in the Bible, a powerful scene with Jesus and His disciples in a boat. The storm was raging, waves were crashing, and the disciples were convinced it was the end. And what did Jesus do? He stood up. With all authority, He said, "Wind, calm down. Sea, be still." And immediately, peace. Just like that, the storm obeyed. That same Jesus is with you now. That same voice that silenced the sea can silence the fear in your heart. So I ask you, what storm are you facing today? Is it overwhelming debt that leaves you awake at night? A medical report that shook your confidence? Maybe it's a relationship that feels broken beyond repair? Whatever it is, know this. Jesus is in the boat with you. Even if you don't hear Him, even if it feels like He's quiet, He is present, and He will not let you drown. He didn't abandon the disciples, and He won't abandon you. Psalm 20 verse 1 says, "May the Lord answer you in the day of trouble. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you. Do you believe that? Because that's a promise written not just for the past, but for you, right now. You are not forgotten. God is still writing your story. Sometimes He waits until the last minute, not to test your strength, but to strengthen your trust. So let me ask you directly, have you ever felt overlooked by God? Like your prayers hit a ceiling and fall back to the ground? If so, you're not alone. Many have walked that valley. But hear me, those valleys are not signs of God's absence. They are invitations to walk closer with Him, to lean in, to let Him carry what you cannot. Psalm 34 verse 18 says, "The Lord is near to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit." If that's you, this is your word today. You are not forgotten. You are being prepared. God is setting something up behind the scenes. But He needs your heart to trust before your eyes can see. I want to share a story with you. There was a woman who lost everything. Her job, her income, her confidence, bills piled up, and fear almost swallowed her whole. But one night, after she cried out to God in total surrender, a breakthrough came. An unexpected check arrived in the mail the next day. She laughed and wept at the same time, not because of the money, but because she knew God saw her. That same God sees you too. Your miracle may not come wrapped in the way you expect, but it will come. And when it does, it will be undeniable. So ask yourself, have I truly handed my storm over to Him? Or am I still trying to row the boat alone? Because the moment you stop striving and start surrendering, that's when the seas begin to calm. Today is the day to stop doubting and start believing again. Not in what you see, but in who God is. The God of Jorge, the God of the disciples, the God of the brokenhearted, that God is reaching for you right now. Will you reach back? Will you let Him in? Because when you do, you won't just survive the storm, you'll rise above it. The lesson today is simple yet eternal. God is present, God is powerful, and God is personal. He is still calming storms, He is still providing unexpected gifts, and He is still responding to heartfelt prayer. If you feel this message, take a moment to comment and share. God is still in my boat. Let others know they're not alone. And never forget this truth. Your breakthrough begins the moment you believe it's possible. Even when your world feels quiet and you're left staring into the silence, wondering why your prayers seem unanswered and why your breakthrough hasn't arrived yet. Please listen closely to this message, because what I'm about to say is not just for your ears, it's for your heart. God sees you. Right now, in this very moment, even if you feel forgotten, even if the weight of waiting is too heavy to bear, God is working behind the scenes. He's not ignoring your pain. He's not blind to your suffering. He's preparing something greater than you can imagine. And I know that's hard to believe when your bank account is low, when the bills keep coming, when the pressure mounts, and the only thing that seems to increase is your fear. But this is the exact place where faith becomes real. It's in the quiet, not the chaos, that God's most powerful works are born. Think about this. Have you ever wondered why the biggest blessings often come after the longest waits? It's because God is not in a hurry. He's not rushed. He's intentional. He's preparing a miracle that fits you perfectly, not something random or accidental. And if you're listening to this right now, I believe it's no coincidence. You were meant to hear this. You were chosen to receive this word. So let me ask you, are you ready to believe again? Are you willing to trust that what you cannot see may actually be the greatest thing God is doing for you? Let's look at one of the most powerful stories in the Bible, the story of Job. He was a man who had it all: family, wealth, health, everything the world would call success. But in what felt like a blink, he lost it all. His children, his wealth, even his health, gone. If that wasn't enough, even his friends turned against him, throwing accusations and judgment. How many times have people judged you in your lowest moments, as if your suffering was your own fault? But here's what Job did that sets him apart. He never gave up on God. He didn't understand what was happening. He didn't know why it was all falling apart. But he held on. Through his tears, through the confusion, through the agony of losing everything, he trusted. And do you know what happened? God didn't just restore Job's life. He gave him double. Double the wealth, double the blessing, double the joy. And here's the part that most people miss. God saw every single tear Job cried. He heard every prayer, even the ones too painful to speak out loud. That same God is with you now. He has not forgotten you. You are not invisible to him. And yes, you, listening right now, you are about to see a restoration unlike anything you've seen before. Not just a return, but an increase. Because that is how God operates. He doesn't just give back, he multiplies. The storm you're in is not permanent. You may feel like it's never going to end, but storms don't last forever, and this one is passing. Right now, the heavens are moving. The angels are already on assignment. Your name has been spoken in rooms you haven't entered yet. And while you're still praying in private, God is preparing a public testimony that will silence every doubt. Psalm 20 verse 1 says, "May the Lord answer you in the day of trouble. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you." Do you believe that God can answer you today? That he can protect and provide in ways you didn't even ask for? This is not just about money. This is about divine provision, unexpected favor, and supernatural breakthrough. You've been faithful. You've been patient. And now, you are stepping into the season where the reward for your endurance will be revealed. Imagine God placing a gift in your life today, one you didn't expect, one you didn't earn, but one that shows you just how loved you are. Because God is not a God of scarcity, he is a God of abundance. Your miracle may not come wrapped in the way you expect, but it will come. And when it does, it will be undeniable. So ask yourself, have I truly handed my storm over to him? Or am I still trying to row the boat alone? Because the moment you stop striving and start surrendering, that's when the seas begin to calm. Today is the day to stop doubting and start believing again. Not in what you see, but in who God is. The God of Jorge, the God of the disciples, the God of the brokenhearted, that God is reaching for you right now. Will you reach back? Will you let him in? Because when you do, you won't just survive the storm, you'll rise above it. The lesson today is simple, yet eternal. God is present, God is powerful, and God is personal. He is still calming storms. He is still providing unexpected gifts, and he is still responding to heartfelt prayer. If you feel this message, take a moment to comment and share. God is still in my boat. Let others know they're not alone. And never forget this truth. Your breakthrough begins the moment you believe it's possible. Even when your world feels quiet and you're left staring into the silence, wondering why your prayers seem unanswered and why your breakthrough hasn't arrived yet. Please listen closely to this message, because what I'm about to say is not just for your ears, it's for your heart. God sees you. Right now, in this very moment, even if you feel forgotten, even if the weight of waiting is too heavy to bear, God is working behind the scenes. He's not ignoring your pain. He's not blind to your suffering. He's preparing something greater than you can imagine. And I know that's hard to believe when your bank account is low, when the bills keep coming, when the pressure mounts and the only thing that seems to increase is your fear. But this is the exact place where faith becomes real. It's in the quiet, not the chaos, that God's most powerful works are born. Think about this. Have you ever wondered why the biggest blessings often come after the longest waits? It's because God is not in a hurry. He's not rushed. He's intentional. He's preparing a miracle that fits you perfectly, not something random or accidental. And if you're listening to this right now, I believe it's no coincidence. You were meant to hear this. You were chosen to receive this word. So let me ask you, are you ready to believe again? Are you willing to trust that what you cannot see may actually be the greatest thing God is doing for you? Let's look at one of the most powerful stories in the Bible, the story of Job. He was a man who had it all: family, wealth, health, everything the world would call success. But in what felt like a blink, he lost it all. His children, his wealth, even his health, gone. If that wasn't enough, even his friends turned against him, throwing accusations and judgment. How many times have people judged you in your lowest moments, as if your suffering was your own fault? But here's what Job did that sets him apart. He never gave up on God. He didn't understand what was happening. He didn't know why it was all falling apart. But he held on. Through his tears, through the confusion, through the agony of losing everything, he trusted. And do you know what happened? God didn't just restore Job's life. He gave him double. Double the wealth, double the blessing, double the joy. And here's the part that most people miss. God saw every single tear Job cried. He heard every prayer, even the ones too painful to speak out loud. That same God is with you now. He has not forgotten you. You are not invisible to him. And yes, you, listening right now, you are about to see a restoration unlike anything you've seen before. Not just a return, but an increase. Because that is how God operates. He doesn't just give back, he multiplies. The storm you're in is not permanent. You may feel like it's never going to end, but storms don't last forever, and this one is passing. Right now, the heavens are moving. The angels are already on assignment. Your name has been spoken in rooms you haven't entered yet. And while you're still praying in private, God is preparing a public testimony that will silence every doubt. Psalm 20 verse 1 says, "May the Lord answer you in the day of trouble. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you." Do you believe that God can answer you today? That he can protect and provide in ways you didn't even ask for? This is not just about money. This is about divine provision, unexpected favor, and supernatural breakthrough. You've been faithful, you've been patient, and now you are stepping into the season where the reward for your endurance will be revealed. Imagine God placing a gift in your life today, one you didn't expect, one you didn't earn, but one that shows you just how loved you are. Because God is not a God of scarcity, he is a God of abundance. And when he gives more than enough. Ephesians chapter 3, verse 20 tells us, "Now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we ask or think, according to the power that works in us." That means even the wildest dream you've had, God can top it. Even the biggest prayer you've whispered, he can exceed it. So let me ask you, what are you expecting today? What are you praying for? What if today is the day your name is called for favor? What if the money you need, the opportunity you've been waiting for, the phone call that changes everything is already in motion? Can you believe it? Can you receive it? Because your faith is the key. Not your perfection, not your background, not your qualifications, just your faith. God isn't looking for perfection, he's looking for trust, for belief, for a heart that says, "Even if I don't see it yet, I believe you're working." So say it with me. God, I trust you, even in silence, even in lack, even in waiting, because that is when heaven opens, that is when miracles begin. And I want you to understand something deeper. When you're in the middle of the struggle, the enemy will try to convince you that God has abandoned you. He'll whisper lies. You're forgotten. You're too far gone. Nothing will change. But those are lies, and today, you're breaking their power. You are not forgotten. You are not too far. You are chosen. You are favored. And your story is not over. It's just beginning. God specializes in turning the impossible into the undeniable. And right now, He is writing a new chapter for you, one of abundance, healing, and provision. Will you trust Him enough to receive it? Will you open your hands and say, "Lord, I'm ready"? Because when you say yes, heaven responds. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need the courage to believe. Your breakthrough is not waiting on a perfect plan. It's waiting on your faith. The moment you believe, everything begins to align. The people, the provision, the peace, all of it starts moving towards you. And if you felt like you've been in a season of silence, let me tell you, God often works the loudest in silence. The roots of your blessing grow deep before they ever break the surface. So don't give up before the miracle. Don't walk away before the blessing. What you've prayed for is closer than you think. You're not here by accident. You're hearing this because it's time. It's time for you to believe again. It's time for you to expect again. It's time for you to open your heart and receive. The rain of blessings is about to fall, not just drops, but showers, unexpected, overwhelming, undeniable. And this time you won't have to strive or beg or chase. This time it will come to you, because God saw the nights you cried yourself to sleep. He saw the sacrifices no one else saw. He heard the prayers no one else knew you prayed. And He is faithful to reward what is done in secret with blessings in public. Are you ready for that? Are you open to the floodgates of heaven opening over your life? Then speak it now. Believe it now. Walk like it's already yours. And as you do, remember, the God who restored Job is restoring you. The God who gave Job twice as much is preparing to overflow your life. So breathe deep. Lift your eyes. Speak with faith. Move with confidence. Because what's coming next will not be small. It will not be ordinary. It will be divine. This is your moment. This is your time. And no one can take from you what God has prepared for you. The only question is, will you receive it? Today is not an ordinary day, because today something divine is about to touch your life in a way that will leave you speechless, thankful, and changed forever. I want you to pause everything for just a moment and listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart, because what you are about to hear is not just a story, it is a revelation. God is moving in ways you may not yet understand, but if you stay with me, you will begin to feel it deep in your soul. There is a shift happening in the heavens, and it is for you. God is preparing to release a blessing so powerful, so unexpected, that it will feel like a miracle, and yes, He is choosing you. You may have been praying in silence, wondering if your words have reached Him, questioning if your needs have been seen, if your tears have been counted. And today, the answer is yes. Yes, He heard you. Yes, He sees you. And yes, your time has come. Let me take you back to a story that reminds us just how limitless our God is. One day, as the sun cast its golden glow over a hungry crowd of over 5,000 men, not even counting the women and children, Jesus stood among them, calm and assured, while His disciples grew anxious about the impossible task before them. How would they feed so many with so little? And in that moment, Jesus took 5 loaves and 2 fish, just 5 loaves and 2 fish, and looked to heaven, blessing what seemed too small, and multiplied it beyond measure. Every single person ate and was satisfied, and there was more left over. This is not just a miracle from long ago. It is a message for you today. When you offer your little to God, He doesn't just add, He multiplies. He doesn't just meet the need, He overflows it. He is Jehovah Jireh, your provider, and His promise stands eternal. What is lacking in your life right now? Is it money, peace, strength, clarity? God is about to meet that need in ways you did not expect and through channels you did not see coming. And I want to tell you something that may change the way you look at miracles forever. Sometimes God works in the spectacular, and other times, He works in silence. Sometimes, the greatest miracles are not the ones that shake the earth, but the ones that quietly realign your life behind the scenes. Remember that time when your bills were due and somehow the money showed up just in time? Or that medical scare that turned out to be nothing? Or the encouragement that came through a friend's message right when you felt like giving up? That wasn't coincidence. That was God. That was His hand on your life, moving pieces into place, opening doors you didn't even knock on, and closing the ones that would have led you astray. And even now, He is doing the same. The kingdom of God doesn't operate on human logic. It operates on divine principle. As it is written in Psalm 20, verse 1, "May the Lord answer you in the day of trouble. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you." That promise wasn't only for ancient times. It's alive right now, and it's reaching into your life this very minute. You might be in a season where things seem stagnant, where you feel like your prayers have been buried in silence, but let me speak this truth into your spirit. God has not forgotten you. He has been preparing something so divine, so perfectly tailored to your need, that when it arrives, you'll know it could only be Him. Sometimes, the waiting is where the miracle is being formed. Sometimes the silence is not God ignoring you. It's Him working deeply, preparing to astonish you with His timing. Just like the farmer waits for the precious harvest, trusting the process beneath the soil, so must you trust what God is growing in your life right now. And I want to challenge you with this question. What if the thing you thought was a delay was actually divine positioning? What if the lack you've experienced was God setting the stage for the overflow that's about to come? Proverbs chapter 10, verse 22 declares this: "The blessing of the Lord makes rich, and He adds no sorrow with it." Read that again and let it sink into your spirit. His blessing makes rich, and not just financially, but richly in peace, joy, health, and abundance. And here's the deeper truth. God doesn't want to bless you just so you can feel good. He wants to make you a vessel of blessing. He wants others to look at your life and see what divine favor looks like. But to receive, you must believe. You must stretch your faith. You must speak life even when your situation looks dead. This is not the moment to doubt. This is the moment to rise. Say it aloud right now. I receive. Because when you declare it, you activate it. When you speak it, you welcome it. When you believe it, you align with it. God honors faith. God moves through belief. And today, He is asking you to trust Him with your whole heart. Open your hands. Open your heart. Let go of fear. Let go of doubt. And let the miracle come in. Don't block what He's trying to give you by clinging to the past. Don't miss what's ahead because you're staring at what's behind. God is doing a new thing, and it starts now. You are not listening to this by accident. This message has found you because it was meant for you. It's a divine appointment, and I want you to take it seriously. Lift your eyes, lift your heart. There's a breakthrough in motion, and it has your name on it. The floodgates of heaven are opening. The angels are on assignment. Your obedience in prayer, your persistence in faith, your refusal to give up, it's all being rewarded. But now is the moment to claim it. Today is the day to step into the overflow. Wealth, peace, opportunity, restoration, it's all coming. You are stepping into a season where nothing will be the same again. And as you pray to Jesus today, know that this prayer is not empty. It is powerful. It is shaking the heavens. It is moving the heart of God. So speak your need. Speak your faith. Speak your expectation. Because God is listening, and He is ready. Your miracle has arrived. Your breakthrough is here, and your blessing, it's on its way. There is something powerful and deeply personal about knowing that the Creator of heaven and earth never sleeps, not because He needs no rest, but because His love for you is relentless, unwavering, and protective beyond anything you've ever known. Psalm 121 reminds us that He who watches over you will not slumber. That means when your eyes are closed at night and your thoughts are clouded with worry, God is still wide awake, watching, guiding, and covering every step you're about to take. Have you ever paused to truly absorb what that means? The same God who holds the planets in place, who spoke galaxies into being, is concerned about your every moment, your financial struggles, your emotional pain, your fear of what tomorrow may bring. He's not distant. He's not passive. He is active and present in your life. And while we often take pride in trying to figure everything out ourselves, isn't it exhausting? Isn't it time to admit that maybe, just maybe, we're not meant to carry all this weight alone? God is saying to you right now, let go. Trust me. Surrender your burden, not because I want you to be idle, but because I want to carry what you were never meant to carry. It's not weakness to depend on God. It's wisdom. He isn't asking you to quit. He's inviting you to walk in strength that doesn't come from striving, but from trusting. You see, many people today are burned out not from doing too much, but from trying to control what they were never called to control. When you let go and let God step in, that's when real peace comes. That's when the unexpected begins to show up. Could this be why your blessing hasn't arrived yet? Maybe God is waiting for you to stop wrestling and start resting in Him. Think about it. What would your life look like if you actually lived with that kind of trust? What if, instead of always preparing for disaster, you prepared for blessings? Isaiah chapter 61 verse 1 says, "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is upon me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, and release from darkness for the prisoners." That means your situation, no matter how dark or hopeless it seems, is not permanent. You were not made to remain in this place of struggle. God has anointed this moment with favor, healing, and breakthrough. But here's the question you need to answer honestly. Are you truly ready to receive it? Are you really prepared to let go of control and let Him take the lead? Because miracles come not to those who try harder, but to those who trust deeper. Sometimes, the greatest act of faith is simply saying, "God, I don't understand it, but I believe you." I want to remind you, God sees everything you've been through, the betrayal that shattered your heart, the moments you cried silently when no one noticed, the fear of never being enough. He has seen every tear, heard every unspoken prayer, and He is moving now, not tomorrow, but today. Even if you don't see it yet, something is shifting in the unseen realm. The Bible says in Psalm 20, verse 1, "May the Lord answer you when you are in distress. May the name of the God of Jacob protect you." That's not just a verse. It's a divine assurance that your prayers have not gone unheard. Right now, God is orchestrating something for your good. Sometimes it's not about earning it. It's about positioning your heart to receive. You don't have to beg for a blessing. You just have to believe that it's already yours. So, let me ask you, when was the last time you truly believed that something good could happen for you? Not for others, but for you. When did you last feel worthy of unexpected money, divine favor, or supernatural provision? Because today, God is placing a gift in your path, but it won't be forced on you. You must choose to see it, receive it, and walk boldly in the direction of your blessing. That's the lesson here. God has already made the way, but your faith is the key that unlocks the door. He's not late, He's preparing the perfect timing. What feels like a delay is often divine protection. What feels like silence is often the groundwork for something greater. So don't give up right before the miracle. Don't walk away just because the road got hard. This is your turning point. This is your moment to say, God, I trust you more than I trust my fears. You are not forgotten. You are not too late. And you are not beyond the reach of grace. Today's message is simple but life-changing. God is ready to bless you in ways you cannot imagine, but He's asking you to meet Him with full surrender and full trust. Let go of the worry. Let go of the fear. Let go of the need to control. And in return, you will gain peace, provision, and a joy that surpasses understanding. So here is your takeaway. Walk with faith, live with expectation, and speak with gratitude. Speak life over your finances, your relationships, your health, and your future. Because when you align your heart with God's truth, even the impossible begins to make sense. Unexpected money, supernatural gifts, and divine restoration are not distant dreams. They are today's promises. Your breakthrough isn't lost. It's just waiting for you to believe again. Now, I want to invite you to imagine a story. Close your eyes for a moment and picture this scene. A woman marked by 12 years of unending suffering. Think about it. 12 years. This wasn't a few hard days or a rough season. It was more than a decade, facing an illness that not only affected her body, but also robbed her dignity and isolated her soul. This woman was suffering from a constant flow of blood, something that, in the culture of that time, made her ceremonially unclean. This meant she was excluded from society, from human connections, and even from the temple, the place of worship. Now, try to imagine the weight of this. She couldn't hug her loved ones or have normal interactions with others. Moreover, she lived under the judgment of others, the looks of disapproval, the whispers, the hurtful comments. Every step she took on the street was probably accompanied by murmurs. There she is, the one no one can touch. The emotional pain of this rejection must have been as devastating as the physical illness. And as if that wasn't enough, she had tried everything. She spent all her money on doctors, treatments, promises of healing, but instead of improving, her condition only worsened. I can imagine her crying night after night, asking God, "Why? Why me? Will this ever end?" Then, one day, she heard about Jesus. He was already known as the man who did the impossible. He healed the blind, made the lame walk, and even raised the dead. And as she heard these stories, something changed inside her. A small spark of hope was ignited. Maybe she thought, if He did it for them, He can do it for me too. Now picture the scene. The city was in turmoil. Jesus had arrived, and a huge crowd surrounded Him. Getting to Him seemed impossible. But this woman, despite her physical weakness, decided that she wouldn't let this opportunity slip away. She knew that this moment could be the turning point in her life, the day everything would change. And here's the most amazing detail. She didn't need a grand gesture from Jesus, nor a speech. She didn't even need Him to look at her. She believed His power was so great that just one touch, something simple, almost imperceptible, would be enough. She thought, If I only touch the edge of his cloak, I will be healed." So, amidst the crowd, with determination and faith, she moved forward. She reached out and touched the hem of Jesus' cloak. That was it.